Matthew 5:21, you've heard it said, but I say to you. Verse 27, you've heard it said, but I say to you. Verse 31, about divorce. Verse 33, about oaths. Verse 38, retaliation. Verse 43, about loving your enemies. Jesus was addressing the false prophets. He was addressing the scribes and the Pharisees who did believe the scripture. They did believe the Old Testament, but they kept the letter of the law, not the spirit of the law. They said, we will obey the scripture, but if we take the scripture on our own terms. They're like Thomas Jefferson. Remember Thomas Jefferson? He took scissors to his Bible and he said, I'm going to cut out the parts of the Bible that I don't think are the true Jesus. Jesus didn't say this. He didn't say this. He couldn't have said that about sexuality. He couldn't have said that about marriage. So he cut it out. He was selective in his obedience. And while many Christians, they wouldn't be so bold as to take a pair of scissors to their Bible, in practice, we do the same thing. I mean, come on, guys, don't we? I don't want to do sex like Jesus says do sex. I don't want to do finances, store up treasures in heaven. What about my new car? What kingdom people do is they bend their will to the will of Christ no matter what. Even when it comes to the hard areas of life, they move past mere agreement. Here you have the scribes and the Pharisees. We agree with the Old Testament that you shouldn't murder. We agree with the Old Testament that you shouldn't lie. But we wouldn't be so submitted to the scripture as to say it's about anger. We wouldn't let it get to our hearts. We agree with tithing, but it's all about the external behaviors. It was never about our hearts. It was never about submitting completely to the lordship of Christ. There it is. Jesus is saying, watch it. You got to watch what you say. You're going to call me Lord and not submit to my lordship. You're in dangerous, dangerous territory. And that's alarming for us, isn't it? Because there are many areas of our lives where we know exactly what the lordship of Christ looks like. We know exactly what obedience looks like. And we're saying, Jesus, we don't agree. And because I don't agree, I'm not going to do. Instead of saying, Jesus, I don't agree, but because we don't agree, I'll submit. That's the difference. And I'm not saying you have to be a completely obedient Christian to get into the kingdom of heaven. You get into the kingdom of heaven through humility and brokenness and faith. But once you're on the road is hard, and the road is a life marked by discipleship and a life that is marked by submission to the will of God. What does he say? Look at Matthew 7, our very text. Not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, will enter the kingdom of heaven, but what? But the one who does the will of my Father who is in heaven. It's about submission. It's about moving just past calling Jesus Lord and actually submitting to his lordship. Selective obedience is not genuine obedience. If you truly confess that Jesus is Lord, you must be willing to bend your will to his, even when his directives seem unpleasant or foolish to us.